Friday, John, and we are live.
We are live, and
Yes,
we're missing Dr. V today, but he's
yes.
taking
No,
a
Dr. B.
he's taking a well-deserved break. So
Yes. We're
just
gonna give him a break every once in a while. So
every
today,
once in a while, he's been working pretty hard over here, and
yes,
he looked like he needed a little time off, so we gave him some.
yes, yeah, yeah. Time off is a topic that I was talking to my some other friends the other day, because we were all. It was three of us, and the three of us were talking like it's we were overwhelmed and felt under pressure, and many times it's not the workload is too high. It's you haven't rested for a while, you haven't been on vacation, so you're running on low
Empty.
recharge, running on empty, and that sort of thing. So I'm sure you and everybody else knows how that feels, right?
Yeah, that's not a bad thing to talk about a little bit today because
Yeah.
it's funny. We've been working on a new project, and we really have been burning the candle at both
Mm.
ends in the middle,
Yeah.
and um, it that can be challenging. So and
Mm.
plus we've all had like a lot of other stuff going on. It's been kind of a wild and crazy beginning to summer, I think, for a
Yeah.
lot of people. I don't know if you feel like you're going through the same thing, but boy, I sure have had
Yeah.
a lot of different things going on. And
I do.
you're right,
And,
very important to take the time off because you gotta recharge.
yes, recharging is so important. So a few things that are going on that they work against me.
Mm,
One is I usually don't pay attention to like when is the next holiday coming up and what am I going to do? Summer is coming up, or plan it in advance, right?
hmm
And adapting to what's right in front of me and being spontaneous always has been working for me. Yet I realize, I can still benefit from some planned recharging time and plan it in advance. And I had this model that I have talked about it with my clients and in my previous presentations,
hmm
either in person or otherwise with them. And I still think it's a good idea and it's doable. Um, Even if it's not 100%, even if you get close to that. And with my other friends, we were just talking about it the other day. So I'm not very much motivated to get to implement it. So let me quickly try to explain it here. So
All right.
we know the pattern of intermittent things is a thing. you
Yeah.
know when it comes to workout, they call it HIT, high intensity interval training. I think that's what it. So
I think so.
basically you work for 2 minutes, rest for 1 minute, that kind of a thing. We
Yes.
know, and we have talked about the Pomodoro system when it comes to productivity.
hmm
25 minutes, 10-minute break, 5 minute break. So work break, work break. This can also apply to much longer time frame, like a year kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um, so we know that we're always more productive. We do better work just before going to on a trip, on a vacation, or just coming
hmm
back home. So
Right.
there are these two more productive periods around the rest or the recovery time. You're getting ready to go, and you're just coming back from it. Um,
So
so
true.
yes, so introducing more break times means better results and more productivity. The same way that
hmm
Pomodoro works. And um, the idea came to me when many years ago I listened to a talk by Steven Zagmeister, and he was talking about every 7 years he takes a whole full year off. And I thought,
Love that idea.
yeah, in a 1 year period it can be done too. So I use the you know complete control of your time or no control of your time, as in two ends of the spectrum,
Hmm.
to give myself a clarity around that. So on the end that someone doesn't have any control, they have a 9 to 5 job, and the usual the minimum deal is that they have to work for 50 weeks and they get 2 weeks off. So we expect people to just grind it out for 50 weeks and work on things, and we know the final month or two, the final 10 weeks or 8 weeks or so is just crawling on the and it's hard progress. And for 2 weeks, that's usually we may even take the work with us again. um, and 2 weeks is not enough. So what if we change that model? Now I'm gonna. So that's the least amount of control of your time and energy.
Yeah.
Let's go to most amount of control of time of energy. So if 1 year is 52 weeks,
Hmm.
and I have to work for 50 weeks of them, if I manage my time and energy better, I am sure I can get the same results in 40 weeks. Whatever I could do in 50 weeks, I can do it in 40 weeks. That means now in a 52-week year, I have 12 weeks of vacation.
Hmm.
Um, but going back to the idea of intermittent interval, so if a year is 52 weeks, I can divide it into four 13-week periods. Um, and uh, let's go on sprints, like 10 weeks of really focused work, high productive work, 3 weeks of vacation. 10, 3, 10, 3, 10, 3. That's the 40 weeks, 10-week period. And in that 3 weeks, you have three trips or travel or rest or it could be 2 week thing and you come back for the last 1 week of clarifying and brainstorming and planning what am I going to get done in the next week, 10 weeks. And because when it starts and you're going to go for 10 weeks and after that there's going to be a non-negotiable break. So like book the travel in advance kind of a situation. 10 sprints of 10-week period sounded like a good idea to me. So as I told you, being adaptive and responsive and spontaneous, I haven't implemented this, but just the other day I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to give myself a few months to automate as much as I can, optimize as much as I can, outsource as much as I
Hmm.
can. So those 3 weeks that I am not going to be around, or I guess minimal interaction, things are still happening, but my service delivery, my value that I deliver to my clients can be done in 10-week periods and go from there. So um, that's what I have in mind, and I'm going to start working on implementing it.
I think that's
I guess I'm
awesome.
going to report back in future calls,
I'm
but that's
anxious
the
to hear
idea.
how it works out for you. I know
Yeah.
that me personally, it's been very hard to take a lot of time off this summer. I've taken quite a few weekends, snuck in a few days here and there, but
Yeah.
it's been hard to take big blocks of time, like a 2 week time period or 3 week time period to actually rest and relax and take some
Yeah.
time off. So the one thing that I found helps me a lot is if I miss my morning routine, it really messes up my day.
Yeah.
To start with that, but the other thing is that during the day, I will sneak out and I'll take an hour or two to walk
Hmm.
around. I'll sneak in a little meditation time during the day,
Yes.
and so I kind of get like a mini rest or mini vacation
Yes.
during the daytime as I'm working, and that certainly helps me along a lot.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what is your morning routine?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I follow the Miracle Morning routine a little bit.
Mm.
It's very similar to that, a little bit
So for
different.
people who are not familiar with that, what's in there?
So essentially, the way the day starts is exercise, visualization, prayer, meditation.
Mhm.
Do a little bit of journaling in the
Yes.
morning. So those are all kind of the important pieces of it.
Mhm.
And I find if I don't start my day that way, I just get off to a horrible start.
Yeah.
Exercise is another piece of it. I don't think I mentioned exercise,
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, you did.
but
Um, so that's two things comes to my mind when you said that.
hmm,
Because I I do know that having a morning routine and get yourself ready and all of that is
hmm,
important. Many times it starts for me the night before, right? Getting
right,
ready. What time do I need to go to bed, and what kind of a rest do I want to have, and so I can have a good morning routine and all of that.
yes,
Um, it contributes a lot, and
definitely.
yeah, you know how sometimes we lose um, sight of why the big why or why we're doing things in the first place. So morning routine, like other things, can also become its own thing now, as opposed to serving other things in our life. So I remember having this conversation with a friend
Yeah.
a few months ago,
Mm.
that she just sent me a message that I am so trying to get my morning routine going, and
Mm.
everything is, I still not have, the kind of a day that I want, and so too much energy was being spent on the morning routine, and
Mm.
that losing sight kind of a thing, and all of that. So um, I agree, and I like what you said, and morning routines are very helpful, and I think we can even make it better by keep reminding ourselves why are we doing this. So
Yes.
um, the 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 conclusion of that conversation was, um, we do all of these things, try to work and morning routine, all of that, um, but by switching, we can do a better job by switching our expectation of this whole thing is all about what kind of a day do I like to have by the end of it,
Yeah.
right? Instead of having the expectations of a strong start, we want to have a day that, however it started, with good morning routine, without stuff came up, stuff couldn't control. By the end of it, we look back at the day, say, you know what? Overall, I performed well today. I responded well today. The morning routine helped. The the way that I didn't let things overwhelm me, those midday walks or meditations and mini vacations you mentioned.
Mm.
By the
Mm-hmm.
end of it, so the goal of having a good day by the end of it, and we look back and say, you know what, that was a good day.
Yeah, it's kind of a system for having a productive day. And
Yes.
the very first thing I found when I started to do it, I found it very hard to shift into that
Yeah.
mode. But once I got into that mode, by the end of that, I actually felt like I'd had a productive day already if I didn't do anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've already read a couple chapters of a book.
Mm,
I've really gotten ahead in a lot of different ways. And so it just helps you get off to a great start.
yes. Tell me about your midday rest and recharge.
Yeah, so midday I try to sneak out and take like a 2 hour walk.
Mm,
I'll tend to go down, and maybe it won't be that long. A lot of times I'll even mix a little bit of pleasurable work in with it.
mm,
So I'll go down to our local park. We've got two local parks actually. One's right at the end of my cul-de-sac,
yeah.
so it makes it really easy for me to just go and take a walk.
Yeah.
The second place is we've got a park that was a monument to several people who were on the flights the day of the World Trade Center.
Oh.
Um, and so it's a beautiful park. I think it's about 12, 15 acres,
Hmm.
something like that. And I usually go down there and take a long walk around through the woods. Um, it's formerly a zoo. It was
Mm,
a zoo at one point, so it's a very attractive place to walk around,
yes.
and
Designed for walking.
designed for walking. And the great thing is, some of my best ideas come as I'm walking around. I'll take
Yeah.
a yeah. Sometimes I'll take like a little sticky notepad and a
Yes.
pen and stick it in my pocket, or make some notes on my phone as I'm walking around.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah,
And
and
there is very much difference. There is a big difference between writing with pen and paper or the notes app on the
there
phone.
is there
Yeah.
is the big thing is I don't want to forget what I came the thought that came I came up with in the first place.
Hmm.
So for me, that's the biggest part. But there is a big difference between writing it
Yeah.
down and getting it recorded.
Have I mentioned N? Let me see. It's called NSDR.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's I follow Dr. Andrew Huberman. His podcast is called Huberman Lab, neuroscientist, and his podcast is highly recommend it to everyone. It's all around our neurology, and he has a lot of conversation about everything from motivation to productivity to
Hmm.
high performance and that sort of thing. So in I heard him actually being interviewed on another podcast that he was talking about NSDR, which is non-sleep deep rest.
Okay.
So NSDR, non-sleep deep rest, and he mentioned it's a form of, let's not call it meditation, but
Yeah.
it's a form of just slowing things down and going through it. He mentioned that the like higher level people at Google and other places, they do that in the middle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are YouTube videos that you can, and apps too, but YouTube videos that you can basically follow the prompts, and the prompts is um, basically, first of all, it's okay even if you fall asleep in the middle of it, but
Right.
it's usually like a 20-25 kind of a thing, and the prompts are like pay attention to your big toe.
Mm.
Now pay attention to your, the toe beside it. Then, different parts of the body. It moves up and down and goes back and forth, and
Okay.
and you're just, closing your eyes and following the prompt. And this it's that whole idea
Present.
of your attention being like a light bulb, which is basically lights the room, or you make it like a spotlight on one thing. That's
Presence.
Yeah, and it's like attention, focus. That's the difference. And you just follow the prompt of listening to all of that. There are parts of it that is about uh, uh, imagine the room that you're in. Now
Mm-hmm.
listen to the sounds that you're hearing. Now pick one of the sounds and just listen to this. So it's a 25 minutes of
Mm.
non-sleep, an NSDR, right? Non-sleep deep, uh,
Rest.
yeah, rest. Um, that seems, I have done it only a few times and I'd like to do it more, but that seems like a very good like plug-in recharge kind of thing for 25 minutes in the slump the afternoon. That we cannot push it much work out anyway. Um, so it seems like a good method that I recently heard about it. As I said, I only tried it a few times. I recommended it to a bunch of people. They all liked it. So that's something that I want to experiment more with. So
Yeah, I'll have to give
I
it a
found
listen.
a YouTube video that I found very helpful. Let me just see if I can share more information about it.
Mm.
It's called, again, it's by a channel, which also an app. It's
Okay.
called Made For, all one word.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I hope I am pronouncing it correctly. So Made, like Madefor, Made For, one
Made
word.
for.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the logo looks like an M with a
And that's the
little thing.
channel.
Yeah, that's the name of the channel. So they have
Okay.
a bunch of videos and interviews, and one of them is I'm looking at this. This is a 23 minute kind of a thing. Non-sleep depressed NSDR, a science-supported tool for de-stress and relaxation. So I just run that audio and do the thing.
It's funny, over the years, I never realized how many different types of meditation there
Mm,
are, and for different things.
yes.
And it's kind of funny. I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago for my friend Ken Stone,
Mm,
and you know Ken. You've met Ken before, but Ken has a tendency to do some very very deep work, and you go very deeply into meditation a lot of times when you're working with him. And so I they ran into a jam a couple of weeks ago. They're missing the guy that was supposed to do their Zoom for them. And so he says, John, I know it's last minute, but would you please? And I said, of course, Ken. Why wouldn't I do that?
yeah.
But I was a little concerned about it because Ken's work is like so deep that at times when I'm monitoring it on Zoom, I just like go under.
Get lost in it.
No, I like, I like
Ah,
sleep
go to
completely.
trance.
Yeah, and so this actually happened to me when I was doing it. I'm like doing this last part of it,
Yeah.
and I know nothing's going to go wrong because I've got like backups on backups that
Yeah.
I know nothing's going to happen, even if that did happen to me. But so we're going along through this last part of it, and all of a sudden I woke up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've missed a portion of this
Yeah.
workshop. So that's a very, very difficult type of workshop to do for somebody who works in video,
Yes.
especially if you're highly susceptible to, trance states and all of that. And
Yeah.
so, Yeah,
You almost have to have your headphones on and
I
distract
caught
yourself
myself
with some
dozed
rock
off.
and roll music in
Yeah,
your ear.
something else going on. Yeah. But I did want to listen because the prompts are so important to make sure that everybody's questions are getting answered and all of
Yeah.
that. And it really wasn't a big deal that I spaced out there for a short period.
Yeah.
But it was funny nonetheless because it's not something that usually happens to me in some of the work that I do. But
Yes.
it was fun.
Those are certainly unique experiences.
Very
Another thing
unique.
that I wanted to get into more is breath work. I
Mm.
have had to tried it a few times, and again, I like that too. Um, Especially when it comes to like clarity kind of
Hmm.
a thing. So I don't know if it's a everyday kind of a thing or not, but it's certainly every few days or
I think
once
it
a week
can
somehow.
be. I think it can be. I have a friend who does a lot of that. I think it could be an everyday kind of thing, but for me, I don't think it would be. I think
Yeah,
it'd be more. I think it would be more of a once or twice a week, a couple times a week
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah. That kind of a like a setting intentions for the week, or
Hmm.
or bringing yourself back to the track, kind of a thing.
Yep.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah,
But I do find that any of that stuff, so important to kind of work into your day and break up the monotony of it, get some motion, move
yeah,
around, anything like that can really make your day so much better.
yeah. Sometimes it's just a matter of like moving from your desk to dining
Hmm.
table, kind of a
Hmm.
thing. Which reminds me of another question that I wanted to ask you. Do you find, or do you have you identified different times of the day for different type of work for yourself?
That's an interesting question. I have not exactly done that.
Mm,
Like I've never been one that found it easier to do a particular kind of work at
right.
one time of day or another,
Mm.
which is kind of, I
You know,
don't know if
have
that's
we
an
talked about the idea of peak time?
peak time. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's 2 hour period, somewhere between 90 minutes to 2 hour period in a day
Hmm.
that we are at our peak. And it's usually most people are in the morning. I guess majority are around 9, 10, 11 a.m. kind of a thing. I'm also in that time zone, but there are people that, their peak time could be, I don't know, midnight to 2 a.m. Certainly a lot of like programmers are in that peak time kind of a thing. Um,
I found I have two peak times
yes.
for me. Usually it's like around 11 to 1
Yeah.
is one of them. And then every once in a while, I'll have because I used to do a lot of my work at night. I used to
Yeah.
be like a real night owl. And I find that, like between midnight or
Mm,
11 and 1 or 2
okay.
is
So
like,
here's what I'm really curious about. Are
yeah,
those two peak times the same type of work?
they are usually, that's an interesting question. I have done the same kind of work at both times,
Yes.
but I don't know if one is a little more specialized for another type of work
Yeah.
than another.
Let me tell you what I found out, and maybe you can, go back in your memory and see.
Yeah.
Because when I paid attention to peak time, and we have different type of work, so
Hmm.
some of them have their own peak time, right? General peak time is for, your most important. You want to put your most important work there. But anyway,
Right.
I noticed I have like four specific, let's say, time chunks, time zones in a day. Two
Right.
of them before lunch, two of them in the afternoon, right? So
Yes.
early hours for me. So the first few hours of after waking up is what I call the input time.
Hmm.
It was best for me to look into things, to learn things, to read, to listen to audiobooks, podcasts, and it's like things going in.
Yes.
Then I would hit my peak time, which was somewhere between 9 to 11:30 or so.
Right.
Um, and that's where I called it the output or synthesizing, where I would do create things, so
Mhm.
make the big progress. If I'm writing copy, if I am putting together a program or mind mapping or whatever, so the output for me happens there. Then the early hours after that, a few hours after that, is when I get into like a communication mode. Um, I talk to other people. So my I always told my clients, if they book their time with me in that during those times, they get my best version as far
Mm-hmm.
as I am now in, like, let's call it so input mode, output mode, coaching mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after a few hours of that, then all different parts of my brain are now fried, and my body gets into things. So in evening, and when I say evening, like let's say around 4 or 5 p.m. workout is what works for me the best, because now my body's like, let's go to the gym. So I had different time zones in a day for different type of activities, and after that it's just basically brain dead relax time. So I come home, dinner, maybe I don't know, listen to music, watch TV, read something, just let all of that get ready for um, the whole shutting down the day and evening time
Mm-hmm.
until the cycle starts again. So that's what I meant by type of work. So have you
Hmm.
noticed that for yourself?
I usually find that I do my morning routine between 6 to 8, 6 to 9 a.m. in the
Mm,
morning, and then from then I tend to do a little bit of creative thinking. It's where
yes.
I'll start to. So it is a creative time for me, but for me, creativity might look different than creativity looks for other people. Like I know
Yes.
people, this would be like their big writing time,
Mm,
or something like that. For me, it's plotting out how to make different things work together, or simplify
yeah.
workflows, or
Problem
structure
solving,
kinds of things.
finding solution.
So I'll
It's just
find
a
I can do
creative
like
work.
a lot of my problem solving then. Then around 10 o'clock ish to noon, and then again from 1 to 3 is where I do most of my work,
Mm,
product development. I actually find some of my best product development or weird problem solving is stuff that I end up staying up later and
mm,
doing like after midnight.
yeah.
But that's kind of like what my day looks like. I do know that like about 3 o'clock, I have to either sneak in like a 30-minute rest,
Mm,
or an apple and a 30
mm,
minute rest, something like
yes.
that, and just kind of munch on, get a little snack, get a little sugar
Yes.
going, and just kind of refresh my mind that way.
Yeah. That's the time of the day that sometimes I use a walk, quick walk
Yeah,
around the block
that
to
last 2 hours, that last 2 hours of the quote regular workday for most people
yes.
can be a little tricky for me.
Yes. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what came to my mind. So I'm gonna like experiment more with this um, NSDR and report back.
I know I've been experimenting more with my meditations with Ken, which
Mm,
tend to be like a lot deeper. So
mm,
I either have to do them early in the morning
yes.
or late at night, because depending, I don't quite know how it's going to hit me. It
Mm,
might actually put me to sleep, because
yes.
it tends to be the kind of meditation that will either stimulate you or overload you,
Oh, tell me
if
more. What do you mean?
if that makes sense. So, like for instance, I got done doing this workshop for Ken. The other day, all I could think of is I'm going to go to sleep for like 3 days, because it does. It's just
Yeah.
like, wow, it's heavy, or it
Yes.
can be very heavy. And then other times it just can be very thought provoking, very light. Um, but there's a lot of downloading, a lot of input going on
Mm,
during these sessions, and so I find it has two components to it. I never know which component I'm going to get
mm,
hit by. And it's funny, a lot of my classmates are like, "Wow, Ken, that was a deep transmission during that meditation." I
mm.
mean, I really found myself like it really didn't it really put me down. Kind of thing. And it
Yes.
did. I mean, I was all I could say to my wife when she got back home from work is like, I think I'm gonna have to go to sleep now and just kind of recoup and take in what I've
Well,
had. But
that's what
it
basically
wasn't
what
fun.
sleep is, right?
Yeah,
Rearranging of the you know, disturbances, clutter, new perspective, and all of that. Let them to sit in and find themselves, so we can
Well,
come back and
I
perform.
found that kind of meditation and hypnosis too
Yeah.
can for me is almost like me going on a week's vacation,
Uh-huh.
which is very which is kind of cool. So it's
It
allowing
is.
me to compress time frames
Yes.
because I'm able to really get relaxed.
Mm.
So very unusual stuff.
Yeah. So, if somebody's listening to us, what's your recommendation of the next step for them?
Yeah, because we've talked about a lot of stuff today.
Yeah. Let me give you
Uh,
mine.
yeah,
My recommendation is, that whole idea of peak time for different things. Just like what you're doing, as in
mm,
whatever you do, you pay attention. So what kind of an impact it had, how it changed. So
yeah,
keeping track of, without changing much, just see how you are performing right now, right? Keep track of. It seems that in the morning, this kind of work is easier for me. So, every
right.
day, 4 little notes for more early morning, late morning, early afternoon, late afternoon, and just keep track. How did I feel in that part of the day, and what I was doing?
Mm,
How did I feel, and what was, and I don't know, a week or two of keeping track of what I was doing and how I was feeling about it. So we notice, hey, every time in the morning when I do this kind of work, it's going really well, or not going really well. But when it moved to 2 in the afternoon, it's now happening. So, a 2 weeks of keeping track of what am I doing and how do I feel about it.
mm.
Some patterns may start to show up and emerge, and you see, what if I move things around this way and find your own peak time the way that
Yeah,
things
because
work for
things
everybody
vary
else.
and change a lot. But I also find that there are times during the day that's very, very hard for me to accomplish certain types of work. Just
Mm,
forget about it. It's
yeah,
just not going to happen at this particular time. And I love that idea. I mean, I think it's super important to figure out what you're best at what time, and what
yeah.
you can accomplish and get done. It's funny. I when I started getting into meditation, somebody turned me onto a really really old book about it, called The Master Key.
Oh,
And it's funny, as I got reading it and going through that book, it
yeah,
turns out that my buddy Ken had read the same book, and that's what got him interested in meditation many many years before I got
yeah.
started. And so if that's something
Is
that
it by
interests
Charles F. Hannell?
Charles F. Hannell,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And
I just
so
Googled it.
if
Yeah.
that's something that's like of interest to you, and you want to learn more about meditation and the
Yeah.
methodologies behind it and stuff, it's a great book to kind of
It's
learn with.
1916. That's
And
old.
it's old,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
but
see I guess it's in the public domain now, and I see a six and
that's
a half hour video on it on YouTube. So I'm guessing that's the whole audiobook.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Amazingly though, very good book.
Mm,
So if that's something that's of interest to you, and you want to learn how to meditate
yeah.
and get better at it, then that's a good book
Yeah. I
to.
look into it. I also found
Mm,
so I just searched that book, The Master Key. Those are the
mhm.
words that I put in the search, and I found a 28 lesson um, playlist
Yes.
of going through that. So introduction, lesson one, lesson two. So that certainly makes it easier.
But who would
Yeah,
think, book from
yeah,
1916, one
yeah.
of the greatest books
We
ever
we have this fascination. If it's new, it must be good.
written.
But
Yeah,
no,
not so much.
yeah, not
Not so
so
much.
much.
The same
Yeah.
thing as we know, some of the best copywriting books
Oh
are
yes.
books that are very, very old.
Mm,
So, same idea.
same idea.
Same idea.
Cool. And I think we did certainly over 30 minutes of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
call
yeah.
today. Time
I think
time flew
we
by
covered some
when there's
great
a good
stuff today.
conversation. Yes.
So, anyways, on that
Cool.
note,
Yes.
thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Same
Yes.
bad time.
And if you know of something related to what we just talked about, if you know of good playlists or books or tools,
Mm,
methodologies, please share them with us. We will look into it, and yeah, comment below.
Put in the comments.
Hashtag replay if you're watching this on replay.
That's right.
All right. Yes. And yeah, we'll bring that up next time.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.